guys, what's up? My name is Sarah. Welcome to my channel. I thought I'd make a vlogging series sort of highlighting my journey that led me to take a trip to India to get treated there. I don't have health insurance. Because I was like, this condition's not going to last me long. It's just a one-off cost. I can't afford health insurance. I'm not going to get it. But, I had to pay for all my consults. I had to see my specialist multiple times. I had to get multiple tests done. Some blood tests that I had to pay for because, not all of them were covered by Medicare. Like some of them were a bit more niche. There was some, like some ultrasounds, some MRIs, and my colonoscopies and gastroscopies, which I had two of, and my flexible sigmoidoscopies and all of that, and my consults that I had to pay for. So it all up, I spent about three and a half grand in Australia to get no solution. So to me, the idea of spending 8K to get a solution didn't seem like such a bad idea, because it was less about the money at this point and more about like, I want to be free of this. Because it was so restrictive. Like, I'm the kind of person who'd be like, no, I'm all right, let's go do it anyway. And then I'd do it, and then I'd come and face the consequences myself. And working in construction, that just was not good enough for me, because like a 30-minute walk would wear me out. So, and would wear me out for like a couple of weeks after. So you can't imagine, like, you can imagine what it would be like, just doing something actually physically strenuous. Alright, so before I headed to India, and when I was sending the emails back and forth, I figured that I would put together all my symptoms, and therefore that way I would be able to actually remember it, and not miss out on the important stuff. I had been doing this religiously, like every time I'd gone to the doctor over the past 2 years, just kind of writing things down in my book. Surprisingly, a lot of people don't listen to you when you're reading off your book. But, this worked for me, and that's exactly what I did. And it helped me have a coherent conversation with the doctors in India. So, first and foremost, I had really severe back pain. So, initially, it was on the lower side. And I used to always say my kidney hurts because it was kind of like on those sides. And then it would radiate to the mid or upper back, especially when I was driving, sitting down, or laying down. So another thing is I had brain fog. Like, I don't know how else to explain brain fog except for the fact that like it's like seeing through fog in your brain. Pretty much, like, I just didn't feel present. I just didn't feel in the moment. I could never process a lot of very basic things. Like, I mean, I hate to say this, but I was not that dumb in school or in uni. Like, I'm pretty okay in the brain, but for some reason, like, I just couldn't process really, really simple things. Um, so I was extremely drowsy, and I would have a sudden loss of appetite, so I'd feel like a lump in my throat, and then I'd start feeling like nauseous. I have really bad, what I think was migraines. I don't want to use that term too lightly, but it would just be like really severe headaches where I had to keep my head down. I'd start to get tunnel vision, and I would just start to feel really, really dizzy, and like it would just, like, I just had to be in peace and quiet for a while. So, and that would last me, sometimes it would last me a couple of hours, but then sometimes it would last me a couple of days. So one or the other. And then it would just feel like my brain wasn't very, like, it wasn't really functioning. It was not like having trouble processing. And another thing is I would, like, when I was driving and stuff, like my vision would just be like really blurry and really shitty, and I would just feel like I couldn't concentrate on anything. That was another thing, and also unrefreshing sleep. So like I'd go to bed and then I'd wake up and feel tired. I don't know if you guys if this is a normal thing, but I remember one time I was saying to my mom, like, oh, like, we came back from a trip, and I was like, she's like, oh, I'm gonna sleep. I was like, oh, are you tired? And she's like, no, I'm not tired, I'm just sleepy. And I was like, I thought they were the same fucking thing. Like, that was the first time I realized that there was a difference between being sleepy and a difference between being tired. For me, like, I go to bed, I can sleep like 4 hours, 8 hours, 12 hours, doesn't matter, I'm always tired. Then I was constantly sick, so I'd have like a cold. Like I said, I have sniffles and like a phlegmy throat, and it lasted me about a year and a half. I still have it actually. And then I have joint pain. So mostly it would be like my fingers, my palms, then my arms, so like kind of like here. And it's like mostly here, like mostly like there, and then there, and that would be on both my arms, and then the top of my left thigh, my knee, like behind my knee and my ankles. So I started to get really bad joint pains, but I don't know if I could call them joint pains, because sometimes it would hurt like here. And like when I say would hurt, like I couldn't even hold the door open because I'd feel like I have to like take my arm back real quick. And I get like pain over here and like my shoulders and stuff like that as well. So it was like tender points. I don't know if I call them joint pains, but that's what led my gastroenterologist to believe that I had connective tissue disease. Um, yeah, what else? So chest pain. So really intense chest pain that sometimes it would feel like a weight on my chest. I had trouble breathing at night just on the basis that it's not that serious, just on the basis that I always had to burp. Now, burping sounds so like normal and like, you know, like not big a deal, but like I always had to sit up to burp, and if I didn't and I just tried to hold it in, it would really like clog my chest and make it really hard for me to breathe. And I had to keep doing that. So like when I go to bed, like it takes me about 25 minutes, and I'm normally the kind of person who just goes flat out, like as soon as my head hits the bed. But for some reason it would take me like 25-30 minutes to get to bed, just because even though I was so tired and so exhausted, I had to keep sitting up to burp and let the air out. So it was really getting in the way of things. And yeah, so my chest felt sore, like a heavy cough. So you know when you cough and then your throat feels really sore, like after so many days of coughing? So it was kind of like that, but in my chest. But I wasn't coughing. There was no coughing, but it just felt sore like that. Um, and then I'd have upper abdominal pain. So like I mentioned, I'd have like really severe like spasms. This is how I describe it. Like I don't know if there's a better way to describe it, but this is the best I can. Is that I would feel like sort of like, you know when you like touch a switch when your hand is wet and then it's kind of like a shock, but I would feel that shock like that just on the top part of my tummy pretty regularly. So I believe that's called spasms, so I just called it spasms. And really severe upper tummy bloating, so really really big tummy, and really hard as well. So like I remember going to the gym once being like, hey, I have a terrible tummy, I need to do something about it. And then the gym instructor was like, your body fat there is like barely, is like minimal, you've got no fat there. And yeah, so like my upper abdominal pain would then radiate to the lower part of my abdomen and then my chest as well. And then I was having pelvic / lower abdominal pain. So I was having pain in my groin, my urine was yellow. I was drinking like 4 liters of water a day just because I'm so thirsty all the time, but my urine was still yellow. And every time I did a urine test, it'd be like, oh, your white blood cell count in your urine is really high. But that was pretty much it. Then I started getting like ulcers in my mouth, and I was having like really itchy lips and an itchy tongue, and I thought it was to do with something I ate. Same with the burping, thought it was to do with the food I ate. But every time, like I'd try like not eating, I'd try like different things, but it just didn't work. Another thing was ear pain. So I was getting like really bad pain in my ear, and I was starting to feel like ringing and a change in pressure all the time, but like it was always just pain. And cold hands, I was always cold feet. It was hard for me to control my urinating, so I had like incontinence, which I believe is the term. Like if I had to go, I had to go right now. And then pitted nails. So like the nails I've had for like since I was a child, but like it's always been dark, but it was starting to like break into little pits or like little craters, or it would bubble up and then it would crack, and which would really hurt. And it was just starting to become really broken and really like, so it wasn't just the dark bands, even though like it was getting darker, it was also the fact that it was pitted, it was cracked and all of that. So in this time, like I obviously like over this whole period of time, initially I tried different diets. So I tried eliminating lactose, then I tried eliminating like, so I just went vegan for a while. A while as in 15 weeks, so not the longest period of time, but decent enough. Went vegan for 15 weeks, and then I went gluten-free for a while, then I went vegan and gluten-free. And the thing is, the diets probably worked for about 3 weeks. I felt okay, and then after that it just felt like my body got used to it and just went back to attacking, like giving me shit. And then eventually, like last year, which I guess I should say this year based on when the video is posted, so in 2019 in March I went keto, and I pretty much just stuck to keto. So when I was keto for the first 4 weeks, I was having like creams and fats and stuff, but after a while I kind of just stopped really doing like creamy dairy based stuff, and instead I started having like a lot more just vegetables, and like pretty much having like my carb intake from my vegetables and my meat. And the diets didn't really work. Another thing that I do want to mention is yeah, I think that's pretty much what I did want to mention. Oh yeah. So then what I did is I started highlighting like my pain spots as I went, so that way I'd be able to like, because when I go to the doctor I'd be like, oh, it hurts here and here, and then I'd get in my car and I'm like, oh shit, I should have told him it hurts here. So eventually I just started highlighting. I got like a picture of a human body, which unfortunately for some reason I didn't take a picture of a female, but after that I just kind of stuck with it because I couldn't be bothered going back and getting everything done again. But I pretty much just colored my pain spots. Might also chuck in a picture of it next to this video if I figure out how to video edit. And then that way I would have like a reference as to where the pain was, and it's also more visual, so I'd be able to just like show the doctor like, hey, this is where it hurts. So that's one thing. And then another thing that I did want to mention was but yeah, what else? I keep forgetting. Also, before I went to India, I made I made that list, but I also started making like a folder on both the physical folder and also on my computer. I'll show you guys the physical folder. So it was pretty much just like this isn't everything, because now that I'm doing this video in the present as opposed to like at the start of a series, I left some of my reports there, just in their folder. But pretty much just like all the tests, and I would kind of just label it whatever it was. And then that way, like, I'd have everything like on file, and they'll be able to see what tests I need to do or what tests I've already done and therefore don't need to do anymore, etc. Another thing is so whenever they do these tests in Australia, like the doctors would be like, all right, so you do have a vitamin D deficiency, you do have like high this, high that. So there were like some telltale signs that like some things were off, but you know, like I've always been iron deficient and things like that. But mostly, like for the most part, it wasn't anything that was conclusive. So that was my biggest worry in Australia. I think that might be about it. Alright, that's it. Bye.